Welcome to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day with your hosts, David Towner and Sam McEwen. If this podcast does speak to you, please like, share, and comment. Let your friends know all about us. And now, here's your hosts, Dave and Sam. Welcome to Today is My Favorite Day with your host, David Towner, and I am Sam McEwen. David, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. We started Christmas season.
Yes.
A little stressed out right now.
Yes, everybody's a little stressed out right now. You know, there's all sorts of stressors that we run into at Christmas time. We're going to talk about a few of them. But can you think of a time when you forgot to do something for Christmas for either, our spouses or a child, and you went up to the last minute? What kind of stress would that put you under?
You know, what's funny is I'm the complete opposite of this.
Really?
I go and get presents early, Tanya and I do.
Okay.
But one thing I used to do is only go get gifts on Christmas Eve. My brother and I, when we were in college, we would go, and we made it a game. We just went to the mall and said, okay, last minute, we're going to find something for every person. It was hilarious. We had a great time doing it. Would I do that as a father or a husband and a grandfather? No, there's no way I'd do that, because that would stress me out. What about you, though?
I used to be the last minute type person. We have moved away from big gift giving into experiences.
Okay, good.
And so my wife and I talk about what we want to do or some of the things we want to do, and then we try to sort of plan through the year to try to budget it in and everything else. But this time of the year is it's everything from a budget buster, it's a family buster, it's a church buster, it's a giving buster. I mean, we could get into all sorts of areas when it comes to what goes wrong at Christmas time.
Well, in the budget itself, Tanya and I, what we do is we budget for Christmas.
Right.
So we budget for Christmas and birthdays and all that kind of stuff. Now, did we do that early in our lives? No. So Christmas would hit, and of course, it would be bad. It would be really bad. We would be stressed out trying to figure out how we're going to pay for this. We're putting it on credit card, and I had enough of it. I just said, I can't continue to do this. Let's budget out Christmas and birthdays, and that way we know what we're going to be running into. And if we have like a big closing, in real estate or something like that, hey, we could buy some other things and get some other things going on with the kids. But at least we have it budgeted for us, so we're not so stressed out in January, because that's bad news.
Well, and it's funny, Thanksgiving is in November.
Yep.
And Christmas is in December. Every year.
Yep.
It never changes.
Yep.
And so, but a lot of folks, even today, are still in that scenario. And
well, budgeting's hard.
It is hard.
It's hard. It's not something that a lot of people like to do. They're thinking of spreadsheets and everything else. And there's some people that love it. Like Alex up there likes that kind of stuff. He's our engineer. He loves doing that kind of stuff. But for most people, they don't like doing it. And I'm one of those I like having everything in the budget. I'm to the cent. I just kind of built that way. It sometimes would drive my wife crazy.
Dave Ramsey would call you the geek.
Yes. Oh yeah. When I set up a budget, I'm thinking it's coming on from on high. I mean, I'm thinking that God just went, David, this is your budget. It is awesome. But I know it's not. The bottom line, though, is it helps us purchase gifts, and it gets Tanya already purchasing stuff starting in like October and that kind of thing, so we don't end up with that big load on us at the end of the year. I hate that. I just don't like that stress.
So what did you buy Tanya this year?
Tanya isn't real big on gifts. What we do is she loves a card.
Okay.
So I write out a card for her, and then what we do for her specifically is we go out and shop. So I'll go before Christmas with her, and she would be picking out stuff, and I'll just get it for her then. Or we will wait and go and after Christmas, and then go get the sales.
The after Christmas sales. So do you actually shop, or do you find a place to sit and read?
No, I shop with her.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I go with her. I've had lots of experience having girls and learned to go shopping with Tanya. And I just like going. I just like spending time with her. So that's what I do, and she loves it. Was it something I loved? Not one bit. So guys, if you're listening to this, it's not something I was jumping for joy in. But my wife stays within the budget. She definitely, understands it. And we have a good time. It's just a good time hanging out with each other. I love kissing her and holding her and stuff while I'm going shopping. So, shopping for me is more of a physical touch thing.
Yeah, there you go.
But I'm a physical touch guy. So that's what I do.
Do you Black Friday shop?
No, we used to. Went there a couple of times and did it, and it said, never will I do this again. But we did it when we were younger, and now there's no way. I mean, you're online. You could do online stuff.
I know.
As a matter of fact, all the gifts so far that Tanya has purchased have all been online. So yeah, for the kids.
We would go, when we lived in Cheyenne, we would go to a couple of the places. Rita just loved getting up in the early and everything else. Of course, in Wyoming, on Black Friday, it's probably 35 degrees below.
Not doing that. Nope.
And so, but my job was to get in line.
Oh, horrible.
So I would by the time we got there, usually the checkout line, right?
Yeah.
So the checkout line was weaved all the way around the store and stuff like that. So I would get in line with a cart, and she'd come and she'd dump stuff in the cart, and then she'd go through and take stuff out of the cart, and no, I don't want this. So, but she had a blast, and so my job was to stand in line, and then when it got close, I would text her and say, 5 people back,
I found that people were, if there were a lot of rude people, but there was also a lot of kind people. But there were some rude people, and usually it was funny. It was just smaller people. I don't know what it was about being in the mall that smaller people were being a little bit mean, but. And that may be just me generalizing, but that's what I ran into. I had a lady hit me with, her purse one time.
Oh, no.
What'd I do? And she was just frustrated because of all the craziness going on around her. And I said, I don't need that extra stress. Christmas time in general is always pretty much a stressful time. You got kids finishing up school. Both of us are out of that world.
Right.
But my daughter is in it. And so you have kids trying to, get through school. You have to try to get gifts for the kids. You have to figure out what's going to happen when vacation takes place, right? Because now you have the kids at home. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that you and I don't have to deal with nearly as much as once we did.
Right, and the kid stressor, when we moved to Florida, that was a shocker to me. In Wyoming, they would go to school up to the 22nd.
Really?
And they'd be back to school on like the 3rd or whatever the first Tuesday after New Year's Eve was.
Yeah.
And so we come down here and everybody's out of school for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever. First year we were down here, we were like, whoa, what's going on here? But it's different, I think, different parts of the country.
It is. Florida is definitely different. So it makes it fun. You see these big lines for people getting ready for, Black Friday, and a lot of times, I mean, it's warm outside, so it's not a major issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, up there, it's one of those, we have snow days. Not that the school ever uses them. They always have 10 or 12 snow days built into the school year.
Kind of like hurricane days.
Kind of like hurricane days here. But if they take a school day, they just tack a day at the end of the year.
Huh.
And I always scratch my head about that.
That's odd.
What's the, and the kids would always get upset. Kids would always get upset.
That's funny. Well, I know for me, when it comes to stress, and we're kind of focusing on that, for me, there's some things I know I can do to reduce my stress level. I learned this when I was younger with my children. But one was to get to slow things down. Mm-hmm. So, and I still feel you get stressed out. Today I was stressed out in the office today. Mm-hmm. And so what I have to do, I had to literally sit down on the floor and get quiet before the Lord and go over one verse just to get my head on straight so I can kind of move forward. Second thing I did was I have a little weight thing in my office.
Yes.
It's a little.
We're very much aware of
that. Yeah, the BioFlex stuff and all that. And I got right on that. Right after I sat there, I got on that and started moving a little bit more. Right. And then just read some more scripture. Called my wife because I was just kind of stressing out a bit about some stuff. I wanted to talk to her. But I think we need to have that quietness. We need to have, what is our focus going to be? Mine is going to be focused because we're people of faith, focused on the Lord, focused on His Word. And then who are the people that you can go and talk to if you're stressing out? Obviously, I have the guys from some accountability people groups, we have and that kind of thing. But I talked to my wife today specifically.
So you touched on accountability a little bit. We all talk to our wives.
Yeah.
But there's times that topic or it's not time. It's not right to talk to our wife.
Sure.
So we're both in CR.
Yeah.
We come here to the church, Celebrate Recovery, because we're all messed up people. And but there's other ways to make yourself accountable to other folks.
Sure.
For example, I have an accountability group that I run every Sunday night. There's 3 or 4.
Is that the business group?
That's the business group. And so that's a business accountability. I have another one that is one particular program within the business, and that's DISC. And what that does for me is it brings me back to center.
Yeah.
And you were talking, you have to get to that quiet place and think about what's going on really, and begin to gaze at God more than to be glancing at all the problems.
Yeah, the Philippians 4:8 principle. Just focus on the good things.
Focus on the good things. Yeah. And so many folks don't do that. They don't take the time to slow down during the day. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. But do you really?
Well, it's funny is my most stressful time of the week is Sunday morning. I'm a pastor of a church. That is by far the most stressful time of the week. Getting all the volunteers together, making sure everybody's here, making sure things are going. It really should not be the most stressful time, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I mean, I could give you the pastor BS, I guess, but I'm not going to do that. It is the most stressful time. It is. And I have to many times go over back to my office and sit and be quiet, just to get myself into a good frame of mind. And I think that would be for any business person or anybody. There's certain times where are going to be stressful times for you.
At this time of the year, almost all businesses, restaurants, retail, everything is bustling.
Hyper.
Things are going hyper, and this is short on employees, short on inventory, short on perishables, and so the stress of those things are going to mount up and just build and build and build.
Well, and if you have those accountability people around you, you could pray with them too. And prayer is gigantic.
It's huge.
That's to me the way of releasing stress and being in a better place. Christmas is supposed to be the joyful time and a wonderful time, and it is. Don't get me wrong. I love Christmas trees and the lights and the packages and all the bows and all that kind of stuff. Love that stuff, but it does add an extra stress, and if we're not in a good mindset already, then many people can implode. I mean, I've seen it over and over again. And I also see 2 months after Christmas, marriages that implode. That's usually the normal time, end of January, beginning of February, where you see the implosions take place after Christmas. So I think some of the things what can we tell the people who are listening here? What can they do not to have those implosions? Right. I mean, so what would you consider?
Well, first off, exactly what you said. You have to get quiet. You have to get alone.
Yeah.
And if you're dealing with a loved one, a spouse, a child, somebody who's stressed out, and you need to calm them down, you have to be calm to begin with. Otherwise, it just escalates. It gets worse. And so you go to that quiet place. My quiet place, I can close my eyes right now, sit back, and the picture that I have in my mind is from the dog park at Honeymoon Island,
the beach.
One of the first sunsets that we saw down here, and I can bring my blood pressure down 5 points.
Sure.
I did it in a doctor's office for a CDL exam, just to bring it down. And so we need to do those things. And people think, well, that kind of stuff doesn't work for me. It's because you don't get quiet. You don't quiet the spirit. You don't quiet the soul and get to that place of rest.
It's so hard to get quiet when the busyness of life is hitting you, and you're having to think of budgets, and you're having to think about kids, and you're having to think about work, and you have to think about how you're going to pay bills and all that kind of stuff. So you're suggesting the first thing is just to get quiet in front of people, in front of the Lord, and just be quiet.
And the thing is that if you don't, it snowballs into physical, emotional, spiritual. I mean, just think, for us anyway, as men of faith, if we didn't get quiet before the Lord,
we'd be in trouble.
Our witness would be out the window.
And high-end athletes, they use meditation. I remember in college as an athlete, just slowing things down, visualizing what I was needed to do. In this case, as a person of faith, it's visualizing on the Lord and what the Lord wants me to do. And I do that, I'm in a good place. I slow it down. Now, is everything perfect when we do that? Not one bit. Just so I want to make sure.
Not at all.
It's not like everything's wonderful, but it does slow me down to a place where I can make better decisions, not react, but respond in a healthy way. I think those are important.
They are. So here's a question for you. You ran a lot, and you ran a lot in college.
Yeah.
Did you ever picture yourself losing a race?
No.
So you always pictured yourself winning the race.
Matter of fact, you picture it, at least for me, I was a sprinter, so you're picturing coming out of the blocks, going down the lane and crossing the finish line before everybody else. I mean, it's just what you do.
Yep.
Now, did that happen all the time? No,
Nope.
it did not. Matter of fact, it happened very, very, very few times, and I got to see Olympic athletes way in front of me in certain races, and it was what it was. But I got a PR, a personal record, which was always good for me,
Right.
because
Right.
there's always going to be someone better than you. I mean, it's just a
Always.
reality.
No,
Unless
always.
you're a LeBron James or a Carl Lewis from the 1980s
Right,
or whatever,
right.
whatever those athletes are, Michael Jordan,
Yep.
Tom Brady,
Yep.
those kind of guys are, they rarely lose. They still lose, but they rarely lose. But for all of us, I think slowing things down and getting in a good place will put us in a winning aspect where we can be better if we're married, with our marriage partner, if we're dating, so the people we're dating, and our friends and kids and everybody else. I think we're just getting a better place.
We do. So talk about slowing things down. A thought just came to my mind. Joe Montana.
Yes.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
Okay. And everybody's, I think it was NFC playoff championship
No, it was the
game.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl with
Super
John
Bowl.
Candy in
John
the stands.
Candy, yep.
Okay. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This is
2 minutes left.
world-class athlete.
Yep.
2 minutes left in the game. He gets in the huddle and says, "Hey guys, isn't that John Candy in the stands?" And that's it.
Yeah.
Everybody looks up. It calmed everybody down.
Yep.
And so there's things you can do.
Well,
you know?
Harris Barton, I'm a 49er fan, so I know this very well. Harris Barton was a rookie, a lineman, a tackle, and he was about to throw up, he said, when he was in the huddle. He said he was losing it. And that's why Montana did that. He actually said after the game, there's a reason I got these guys focused. It got them, they looked and went, oh yeah, and then they realized it's not as big as we're thinking and making it out to be. And they went right down the field in the last seconds, threw a touchdown to John Taylor, and the 49ers won. I remember watching that game, and Joe Montana was known as one that slowed things down. That's just how he was built. So if it works for high-class athletes, it works for high-end business people, obviously. It could work for us. And by the way, the scriptures talk about slowing down and getting quiet places a lot.
Find that quiet place.
Biblically, if we could find a quiet place, and so my suggestion to you is finding that what I call happy place. In my book, Today is My Favorite Day, this is the book here. If you want to get it, you can go onto my website, davidtowner.com. But this helped me to slow things down. I found that my quiet place is the beach. My other quiet place is my chair in my office. And those are places where I could just slow things down and get into a better place. If I don't do that, my wife can literally pick up that I had not gotten in a quiet time with my Lord.
They're good at that.
Yeah, so that's important. Another thing too, I did another book called Today's My Favorite Day, and it's the prayer book, 60 prayers on just what I used when I was going through cancer. And I think it could be really useful for you if you're struggling trying to slow things down. Maybe that prayer book would be something that can be helpful to you. I know it's been helpful to me. I go back to it. I'm the one that wrote the book.
You still
go back to it.
Right,
so
right.
it's something that you may want to consider. I think the other thing too is and we could talk at a different time about this, but exercise is very important.
Yes.
And we already talked about how you take care of your budget so you don't get stressed out over that.
Right.
You
Body
know?
in motion stays in motion. Mind in motion stays
In motion. It's just the reality of it. So for you coming into this Christmas season, what do you anticipate as some of the stressors, and then what do you anticipate to do to avoid being totally stressed out?
So for me, this is the time of the year when people are reaching out.
Oh, that's right. With your
for
profession, that's
for coaching on budgeting, for coming into 2022 with businesses and business plans and things like that. And so trying to fit them all in the calendar and then having people show up.
Yeah.
Because even though they reach out for budget concerns, they're afraid to talk about it.
Oh, it's hard.
It's hard to talk about it.
Yeah, it's real hard.
So follow-up is my biggest thing. If somebody reaches out, I have to continually follow up. And, the old sales adage is you follow up until they die. So
and business people understand that.
They do.
Yeah,
they do.
I get that.
So we're coming to the end of our time today, David. So how can people get your book, or how can they reach out to you?
All right. So a couple of things. First of all, we just want to say we love you guys and we just care for you. And we're doing this primarily for us to be able, hopefully, to give you some information that would be helpful to you. You can go on my website, davidtowner.com. You can contact me by just putting contact@davidtowner.com. And what I'd like to do is just remind you that, you can have this day as your favorite day. It could be an important day right now. You can have joy in it, even in the midst of the stress. So if you're interested in one of these books, tell me. And if you want me to sign it, I'll do that too. I do usually notes and stuff in them because I just want to encourage you. And if you know some people that need to be encouraged, give them to them. What about yourself?
I can be reached at sam@aliveandatpeace.com. This book and the accompanying workbook and prayer book would be great Christmas gifts.
Oh yeah, those are fun.
So,
we actually had a lot of people do that last year.
Yeah,
so
that would be something. So reach out to David, and remember, today is your favorite day.
Amen.
If you make it your favorite day, you can gaze at God or glance at the problems. This has been David Towner, Sam McEwen. Today is my favorite day. Y'all live intentionally. Be very, very blessed, my friends.
That's right.
Thank you for listening to TIMFD. Today is my favorite day. The views, comments, and opinions expressed here today are those of the hosts and guests alone, and Dave and Sam are solely responsible for the content of this podcast. TIMFD, Today is My Favorite Day, is produced and directed by Alex Korn. Music is composed and performed by Chuck Vaught. Thank you for listening. Have a great day, live intentionally, and be very blessed, my friends.